Thank you for tuning in to AM Radio. And I have a story for you. This is one time that my nephew Gage and a friend of mine, we'll call him Miles, we decided to go ahead and ghost hunt my parents' already at this point well known haunted house. We had this elaborate plan. We had an idea to go ahead and in their backyard place a tent, and we'll just camp out in the backyard. And we'll go ahead and see what we can go ahead and find in the back room, kitchen, garage. We'll go ahead and have fun with it. Might as well. There's really nothing to it besides just, having a little fun while trying to scare ourselves. And I remember the first night, I think when we were doing it, we were just going ahead and, having a couple drinks, just having a good time, talking, laughing, having just a blast, from what I remember. And I remember at one point in time, we were sitting in a triangle because we can't have a circle. And I remember we started talking about, because, you know, we're doing activities. And I remember just saying, my mom would hate to see us this way. And since it's Gage's grandmother would be like, can you imagine what she would say if she saw you doing what you're doing right now with us? And we started laughing, but then all of a sudden we started hearing like feet scraping the ground, walking towards the garage where we were. We were hanging out in the garage and pretty much partying, and we're talking about my mother catching us doing activities, and then all of a sudden we hear feet scraping towards the garage, and there was an audio recording of it. I don't have it to play right now, but I remember hearing it, and everyone froze because we thought somebody was going to open the garage door. I don't remember what time it was, but I do remember everyone freezing, and then we waited for somebody to open the door, and the door didn't open. So then we opened the garage door, and there was no one there. We decided from that point, I remember developing like this kind of even more creepier game with it. All the lights in the garage would be turned off. There was already no lights in the backyard besides the street lights, and even then, there's good luck. It's the city of Colton, and they don't really give street lights a good name. And I remember I was like, all right, if you leave the campsite, which is the tent, you have to have a lantern. You don't have a flashlight, you have a lantern. A lantern that barely lights any kind of 2 feet, 3 feet in front of you, battery powered. And that's your only source of light. Going to the restroom, going anywhere, you had to have a lantern. So we went ahead and started doing that. And it doesn't matter if you're in a situation like that where you already know you're in a creepy situation. It's like that. There's audio clips that I was able to go ahead and collect from my nephew from that night that I was just I didn't even know existed. But I'm gonna try to see if I can play some for you right now. That's just us pretty much looking around, trying to figure out what's around us. We're searching. We're going ahead and looking for some kind of supernatural thing. I remember we were taking pictures on a camera. We were going ahead and just trying to find something. Oh, he sent me another one. Okay, here it is.
Okay.
Rock, paper, scissors it when we get back.
Good thing I don't know how to use it.
You'll find out how it goes when we come back.
Alright.
We'll put this in the...
Yeah, put it in there so I don't have to fall down. Yep. Alright.
That's just us going through the house. That's just us going through my parents' house trying to find something supernatural. But yet, we found really nothing. But it wasn't until, like I said, we were in the garage and we were, just talking that all of a sudden it started coming to us. And I remember as we played the game, we're like, all right, well, let's go to bed. So we all got in the tent, we all got in the sleeping bags, and we all went to sleep. I don't know how their night went, but I remember I had a hard time falling asleep. I grew up in this house, or in that house, and in the backyard. I've camped out many a times growing up. But for some weird, strange reason, I remember dotting off, like just sleeping and then waking up. And then for some reason, like 2 cats were circling our tent and screaming like they were in heat. And I was just like, this is weird. I was like, oh my God, like what's going on? And there was literally 2 cats, because I remember it was like one from one side and then the other side would start on the other. It wasn't like they were next to each other. It was literally on one side of the tent and it was moving, and then the other side of the tent and it was moving as well. It was going around. I was like, this is weird. And it went on for so long. And I was just like, okay, this is strange. And I remember I tried to wake up my nephew, Gage, and he wouldn't wake up, And then I didn't even want to bother with trying to wake up Miles. So I forced myself to go to sleep. I remember I believe I tried to put on my phone American Dad. We spent 2 nights in the backyard. And the second night we tried to do it again. We went ahead and we tried to have like we tried a little bit harder. And nothing happened when we were out and about. And then like our little game of lanterns and stuff like that, it made it a little bit more suspenseful, a little bit more creepier for us. And I think everyone felt it. I remember I felt it. But the same thing happened. Nothing happened. Until we went to sleep. Now, since I grew up in that house, and I've camped out in that backyard, I remember waking up again in the middle of the night, and instead of cats, there was this weird clicking noise, like something being, like if you're pulling like a crank, and it's just like catching the teeth of like whatever kind of like cog you're doing, like I was hearing that in the noise of the backyard, and there's nothing in the backyard that makes that noise. I've looked now and then and whenever, and I have not found a source to that noise. And I just remember thinking, I was like, I don't know what that was, and it was scary to me. And I remember trying to wake up Gage, and he didn't wake up, and I was just like, it's pointless. Miles is a heavy sleeper. I'm not gonna wake him up. And I just couldn't figure out what it was. And then I remember the next morning I told them what was going on both nights. I remember explaining to them both that I went through this, and they didn't hear anything. They slept like logs, and that was the backyard sleepover event that happened. But what's crazy about that is, growing up in the backyard, I have always felt a kind of weird feeling. Now, I don't know if it's true, but I remember hearing when I was growing up that there was like this kind of urban myth that when truck drivers go across states and everything, like long treks when they would drive, they would get like a citrus fruit, like a lemon, and they would stab it and put it on their dashboard, and they would do their route, and at the end of the route, when it was completed, they would cut it open, and if it was black, then that means that lemon sucked any kind of like bad luck or anything that was bad was gonna happen. It took it in, and it prevented it from happening. We have a lemon tree in the back. And I remember hearing stories that, like people had seen shadow people in our backyard. I had always felt very uncomfortable in my backyard growing up. And it's just very uncomfortable back there when it comes down to when you're by yourself. Strange enough, like, when I go ahead and I drink or anything like that, I don't feel that kind of like, intimidation. But if I'm sober or anything, yeah, I don't want to be back there. I don't want to be anywhere in the backyard or in the back rooms of my parents' house, sober. Even when I'm drunk, like in the house, it's a different story. I don't want to be anywhere in the back at all. And when I'm sober and I'm looking in from the living room to the kitchen, I'm literally looking because I feel like somebody's gonna walk through that kitchen doorway into the living room. It's terrifying. That house is just a weird kind of scary. It's a stereotypical thing with Hispanics and Mexicans and any kind of thing like that. But that house has always been scary because you always feel like somebody's gonna walk through that kitchen doorway into the living room. But it's a little story, a little creepy thing going on, and I don't remember anything really happening from it, but just those little weird occurrences. But I guess that's it.